Hey everyone, Frank with Ice Age Performance here, and today we are going to go over servicing your Hellfire billet wheel. What makes this unique in comparison to other wheels on the market is it has a fully serviceable plastic UHMW outer ring. So this is a similar material to your Hyfax or your skis, and we're also going to go over the bearing service as well, and how to identify if a bearing needs to be replaced, and how to easily install and reinstall your bearing and plastic outer ring. So, nice thing about this plastic outer ring, it doesn't build up any snow or ice, so it doesn't cause any sort of vibration or track tensioning issues. Again, similar material to your Hyfax or your skis. So we're going to dive into it, and we're going to start with the outer ring for the kit. This will be what you'll receive as a service kit for your 8 or 9 inch or 10 inch Hellfire wheel. Includes the UHMW plastic outer ring, replacement screws, and Loctite. And this is the bearing service kit, which includes a fresh bearing and a fresh snap ring. And now for the tools that you'll need for servicing your Hellfire wheel. We have a 3mm Allen attached to a screw gun, or just a 3mm, as you see here, just the old-fashioned way. It is important to note that anything larger than this small screw gun, say a 3/8 impact or a 1/2 inch impact, might damage the threads. These are very fine threads going into a plastic ring, so just want to make sure not to use too big of an impact. Something like this will work just fine, or just a manual 3mm as well. Now moving on to the bearing install. Good set of snap ring pliers, nice heavy hammer, 1¼ inch socket, 19mm socket, and when servicing a 10 inch Hellfire wheel with the larger 25mm bearing, you will have to size up these 2 sockets here for the bearing install. And then 2 blocks of wood to set the wheel on top of for knocking the bearing out. So we're going to start with the outer ring here, and we'll go just with pulling the screws here. Alright, so once all the screws are removed, you'll be able to separate the plastic outer ring from the wheel. And you can see here, just comes right off. It's pressed on a little bit, and it only goes on one way. So when you're putting it back together, we'll go over that. So we'll crack open the new kit here. Like I said, comes with a fresh plastic ring, ready to roll. So whether you had a rock in there, or a log, what have you, or higher mileage, it's nice to be able to service these plastic outer rings. So we're going to go ahead and reinstall this. First step will be applying Loctite to the screw holes themselves. And the way to do that is just take a little dab. You're going to go around the wheel and apply one to each hole. Just a little dab will do. So once you've done that, you'll take your new plastic ring and you'll align it with the holes on the wheel. And this is a little bit of a snug fit, which is designed to be that way. So the easiest way to get the plastic ring to seat, if it doesn't lay on there perfectly, is just to take a screw, align it with one of the holes here, snug it up, and then you're going to jump maybe 1 or 2 holes away from that one and get that one snugged up as well. And you're going to repeat that all the way around the wheel, skipping a hole or 2 until the ring is fully seated. All right, so now that your new plastic UHMW ring is installed, I like to go around with just the manual 3mm and just make sure everything's good and snug, evenly torqued, and making sure that the countersunk hole for the screw head is flush. And you just kind of work your way around, snug them all up. All right, so the plastic outer ring service is complete, and we're gonna move on to the bearing. So while your wheel is apart, any sort of pre-season checklist, while you're servicing your ring, it's important to check the bearing. Bearings have a wear cycle. Under the right conditions, they do wear out. So it's like your Hyfax. You want to keep an eye on it and make sure that it is serviced before it's too late. So a good way to check and make sure that your bearing's in good shape is you can just stick your finger through it, give it a good spin. If you feel any sort of grittiness or play, that might indicate a bearing that is likely to fail. So just want to keep an eye on that and make sure that it is in good working order. So now we're gonna pop the bearing out of this, super easy. Just take a couple wood blocks that we have here. Align those so there's enough room for the bearing to fall down out of the wheel. And you're gonna take your snap ring pliers and remove the snap ring. I like to just cover it up with my hand when I pull it so it doesn't go flying across the shop. And you'll flip the wheel, take your hammer and 19 deep well, align it on the middle of the bearing, and give it a couple taps and it should fall right out. So there we have it. Bearing fell out, ready for a new one. And you'll just toss the one there out. And here's our fresh bearing kit. Includes bearing, new snap ring, ready to roll. And for reinstalling the bearing, I like to just take it and set it on the hub of the wheel. Make sure it's kind of squared up on there. You don't want it cockeyed or else it might not seat correctly. Quick note, with the reinstallation of your bearing, you're gonna use an 1¼ inch socket. If you're servicing a 10-inch, you wanna size this up for the larger 25mm bearing, and selecting a socket to reinstall your bearing, you can just take a socket that you have lying around and make sure that it is, nice and loose in there, but it sits on the outer race of the bearing. So just a quick note with that. And again, we're gonna go ahead and install this. Make sure that the bearing is square to the hub. Give it a couple light taps to start. Making sure it's square as you go along, and a few more to finish it off. So that's fully seated. Then you'll take your snap ring and snap ring pliers and reinstall your snap ring there, and you are ready to go, fully serviced with a fresh bearing. All right, so now that your Hellfire billet wheel is fully serviced with a fresh plastic UHMW outer ring and a new bearing, you're ready for the season. These are two important checklist items for your Hellfire wheels, making sure that your outer ring is in good shape and that your bearing is ready for the season. There is a wear cycle on these, so you wanna make sure that they're in good working order. If you have any questions, feel free to give us a shout. Our number is 406-763-0365. We'll be doing more product installation videos and tech tips, so stay tuned for new videos.